In this episode of The Tech John, we discuss AOL ending its dial-up service, OpenAI releasing GPT-5, Reddit blocking the Wayback machine, and Google's vanishing DEI support. We've got all this and more for you in episode 190 of The Tech John from Columbus, Ohio. I'm your host, Robb Dunewood.
And coming out of Philly, it's your girl, Tech Life Steph.
And out of Atlanta, this is Terrance Gaines, a.k.a. Brother Tech, a.k.a. shout out to Little Brother, one of my favorite, not one of my favorite hip hop group of all time, Little Brother. They are still touring. They gave mention that this may be one of the last tours that they go on. Yeah, I'm
gonna have to see if they come into Philly then, because I definitely would love to check them out.
They did New York, they did Baltimore, I think already. So I think that may be the end of the East Coast tour. So
hold on.
Anytime they get in the vicinity of Georgia, I make sure to turn up. Even though like 2 years ago they did what I thought was going to be their last tour back in 2023. So I flew to Durham, North Carolina, where they originated, the group originated, and flew down to Durham and attended one of their concerts. And then fast forward to earlier this year, like April, found out they was doing a concert, bought the ticket on site, didn't ask no questions, didn't look at my calendar, didn't ask for permission. This is one of those ask for forgiveness, don't ask for permission.
Mm-hmm.
So I went and bought the ticket. When they came to town, had a good time, man. It wasn't a big, huge place. Maybe it held maximum capacity was maybe 1,000, 1,400 people, and they packed it out and had a good time, man. Played all the hits, played all the songs that we come to. That's why, I don't try to get on no side tangent anymore, but I'm starting to only listen to and support artists that can put on a live show. If you can't put on no live show, I can't support you on my phone, because when you come to town, I want to be able to buy tickets and I want to get the experience that I think I'm going to get.
Right.
When I was listening to the album, these artists now, or not even nowadays, some of these artists have gotten away with, just on the strength of who they are. They come 2 hours late. I ain't saying Lauryn Hill in particular. I'm just saying artists in particular. They come late. They only sing in like a 30-second clip of the song. They just walking back and forth across the stage. They really ain't doing nothing. Little Brother, a rap group, they will put on a show. They'll sing covers from other songs. They'll do their own little skits, because they came up when skits in between the songs was popular.
They doing that a lot. I love Little Brother.
So they do it's like one of the best concert experiences, and they make it a point. They say, we old, so we gonna start this thing on time, and we getting out of here. We getting out of here before 10 p.m. And I was like, that's
the way to do it, man.
I will say though, number one, I love Little Brother, and I see they're going to be in Chicago on September 13th. This is not a plug. This is me maybe buying a plane ticket, because I wouldn't mind seeing that show. But in July, in 2 weeks, I saw Wu-Tang on a Friday, and then I saw Nas with our Philadelphia Orchestra on the next Friday, and they were both phenomenal shows. I mean, and Lauryn Hill was on time, because Wu-Tang brought out a bunch of different people during their set, and Lauryn Hill was one of those people, and she came out and she did her thing, and I feel like, did she sing Mary's part on You're All I Need? Maybe. I forget what the context of why she was there, but she came out, like, I think their whole concert, they're told this is their last tour as well, Wu-Tang Forever. And each city, they brought out different artists. So in Philly, they had Lauryn Hill, they had LL came out. I think Freeway came out. He usually comes out for everything in Philly, but it was a really good show. Started on time, the whole nine. And then Nas did Illmatic. He did the entire Illmatic album with the Philadelphia Orchestra, with the backing of the Philadelphia Orchestra. It was fantastic. But then he did a whole bunch of other songs. AZ came out. Like, I hear you when you're saying you want an experience and a live experience.
Good concerts are good concerts. I mean, there's a difference between a good one and one that is not good. So I'm glad you had a good time, man. Glad you had a good time.
The best.
Yep.
So, folks, welcome back to the Tech John, where we discuss the week's tech news from perspective you don't always hear in mainstream media. And at the end of the show, we kind of have a little thing that we do. If we have any new patrons, we give them a shout out. We give them their flowers at the end of the show. But we wanted to, to kind of shout out some of the folks that have been riding with us since the beginning, because y'all, this is crazy. I don't know if you know it, but we are coming up on 4 years. Today is episode 190. We've been doing this show. We've been doing this show for 4 years. Next week is experiment week over on Daily Tech News Show. So yeah, we 4 years on this show.
That's crazy.
We have some patrons that have been hanging with us literally the entire time. In fact, we have patrons. One of these folks I'm going to shout out is one of the ones that say, hey, do y'all have a patron? If not, set one up. I want to support the show, because we didn't kick the show off with the Patreon. It took us about a month to get to it. So this week, and for the next few weeks, we're going to just shout out some of our long-standing patrons. So this week, we got to give roses to Stuart, to Ross George, to Saray TW, and to Josh Grisdale. These are all what we called Founding 50. These were some of the first 50 folks who signed up, and they have been rocking with us ever since the beginning. So like I said, I wanted to right at the top of the show give y'all yours flowers, because I just realized, like, man, episode 190, that means we close to 200. We've been doing this for 4 daggone years, and next week is experiment week, and we've been doing experiment week over at DTNS for the last 4 years, and this is one of the shows that got kicked off during that. So thank y'all. And like I said, we will be doing some shout outs here probably from now through episode 200, because like that'll be, that's a nice round number. Mm-hmm. But I do want to once again thank the folks who are supporting the show, because if it wasn't for y'all, we could not have been doing this for the last 4 years, keep these lights turned on and keep these bills paid. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into some of the tech stories this week. Terrance, you stuck this one in here. Tell us what's going on with AOL.
Yeah, man. For those our age, America Online, which is probably most notably known by the dial-up sound that you get when you logged into the internet, is ending its support September 30th. So we got a little over a month before we will, maybe people still probably use it, because according to the story, you can still buy the AOL America Online discs on eBay. If you want to feel a little bit nostalgic, you can actually buy and probably put it in if you've got a computer with a CD-ROM disc. Again, those are kind of prehistoric just as much as America Online is, right?
Let me stop you right fast. Did you say that if you got AOL discs, you can sell them jokers on eBay?
You go on eBay right now, you could probably buy an AOL Online CD for about $20-$30 if you want to do that.
Okay, I'm gonna have to go look in the back room.
So
I know I got some floppy disk. I probably have the CD-ROM as well. I want to see if I can find one that's like still new in the packaging.
Yeah, man. Just want to put that's all. Just want to pour out a little liquor for AOL Dial-up.
It's funny. We just did not have the money for that kind of thing. So I can remember getting the CDs, because they used to come on the back of cereal boxes and,
inside a magazine.
Anywhere they could stick a CD, they would stick a CD. And so I would have them and not have a computer to put them in, and not have money to pay for, internet. So I totally missed the entire, what's your aim? Send me your aim, your AOL screen name, like all the instant messenger. Like I did not get to partake in.
Only way I could. I was the same way as you. We couldn't afford it, with the exception of being on college campus. That was the only savior for me. We were towards the end of college when the internet really started popping off. So we got to fortunately be able to connect to the college's internet in the dorms to be able to spin up the dial-up discs. So, and then by the time we got out of college, internet was on its way. So I got a little bit of it.
Now, when I was in high school in the late 80s, we had CompuServe for the dial-up. But then, like I think it was my freshman year in 91 is when AOL came out. And it was like, so you get like a 30-day free trial. I think initially it was like a 30-day free trial. It's like, so I was free trialing the mugs like crazy
every other minute.
Now I can neither confirm nor deny that I may have had AOL accounts that were RD1 through RD84, because ultimately, what did you do at the end of that 30 days? And then eventually they knocked it down when the CDs came out, it was 14 days. What did you do? I ain't paying for this. I'm gonna sign up for another free trials. I just literally changed my email every single time. allegedly.
You gotta do what you
Allegedly,
gotta do.
that potentially could have happened back in the day. But yeah, AOL's. But I had no idea that it still had an internet service. So, or not internet service, but it still had dial-up service. So they did a census in 2019, I believe, and it was like 260,000 people were still using it in 2019. Fast forward to today, they said in their release that they only have a few thousand.
I was wondering about that because I obviously, we need to evolve and move on, but I was very curious as to how many people might lose their access considering, the digital divides that are rampant in pockets across the country, especially in rural areas and areas where a Verizon, a Fios, or somebody like that does not want to extend their lines and things like that. This could have been the only way for some people to get online, but it doesn't sound like that. I mean, not that, two people not getting online is still a problem, but it doesn't sound like there are hundreds of thousands of people that are going to lose internet access because AOL is now offline. But I guess when you think about mobile and things like that, and the fact that kind of everybody does have a smartphone, it kind of makes sense that this would be phasing out at this point.
Yeah, and basically they're just stopping support. That don't mean you probably still can't figure out how to use it.
Right.
So if zombies hit or apocalypse hit,
right.
I'm pretty sure even though they ain't supporting it, you still could probably figure out I've got a CD-ROM.
Might be the only thing we could do to get on the internet.
It's the dial-up that they're shutting down. So the thing is, for folks who are still using dial-up, you got an old computer. If you had a modem in your computer, or even if you had an external one that you're plugging into it, it's been a minute. I was trying to think. I think the last computer I bought with a modem built in was a machine that ran Windows 98. And I know the last modem that I ever purchased was a 56K US robotics modem. That thing was screaming back in like 2000 when I got that thing. So it's been a minute. But as I was saying,
feel like there might come a time when we need them old computers because that apocalypse gonna hit.
The modems ain't went nowhere as far as internet. They just in the box that we get from T-Mobile and them. It's a gateway modem / router. So before the router was connected directly to the individual computer. Now the modem hits the house via the gateway motor /
But I'm talking specifically about that dial-up modem. I'm talking about the ones you got when you your grandma pick up the phone and it just mess up whatever you was doing. Well, boy, get off my phone. You ain't paying for this. I've heard that way too many times. I got trauma from that.
Well, what I didn't know is Apple had something to do with AOL in the beginning. In the beginnings, Apple teamed up with quantum computing services to call it Apple Link. Of course, the business didn't do well. The company Apple and Quantum split up in the 1980s. Quantum computing kept the Apple Link software. Apple didn't take their part away with them. They kept it all together. They renamed it to America Online. And as you remember, like I said, the rest is history. AOL Online and Dial-up. But I didn't know Apple had something to do with
I didn't either.
Beginnings.
I'm today years old. And for people who don't know, AOL was the internet for a decade. I mean, it was the internet. People didn't understand that the internet was something outside of AOL because that's just how people got on. You got one of them floppy disks, or later you got one of those CD-ROMs, and you put it in, and then you got on the internet when your computer would make some real funny noises while it was trying to connect. And I think the only service that probably has even approached being that close to being just synonymous with the internet was Facebook, maybe 10 years ago. Got that big to where people just assume Facebook is the internet. That's just, how people perceived it. They got onto the internet to use Facebook. But AOL did this thing. It seems like it was way longer. It's only been like 34 years. I mean, I guess technically that is a long time. That's well over half each of our lives, 2/3 of it almost. And, for us, but
all right, stop dating us. You date us.
Right?
I'm just saying, it's been a minute since that service.
Nobody asked you all that.
But y'all, it's like we can't do a show without talking about AI. It's mandated in the contract that we got to talk about artificial intelligence at some point. So just want to mention that OpenAI has released GPT-5. I think it came out Friday last week actually. And the big to do about this one is that it takes all the models puts them together and it figures out what it's supposed to use. So for those who actually use ChatGPT, you know that there are a bunch of different models, going, back to, are you using 4.0? Are you using, 3? There's 4 or 5 different models. So the problem was that depending on what you were doing, you had to pick which model was going to work best for you. If you're trying to do math and science, you use one model. If you're trying to do reasoning and words, you use another model. So the big to do with this one is that they're saying this one is like a brain surgeon. It is really smart. It's going to be significantly less prone to hallucinations. I think they're saying it's going to be around 4.5% hallucinations compared to some of the other models that might be as much as 17. But ChatGPT, they're still trucking along, and now the 5.0 is out. And how do you guys feel about this? Is a model that where you just go and type whatever your query is, whatever your prompt is, and you don't have to worry about any of the other stuff? Does that make you more prone to use it as compared to it's too much, I got to figure out, I don't want to use it? Or are you still feeling the same way about it?
I don't necessarily think I pay a ton of attention to which like I'm using 4.0 right now because that's the one that pops up in the chat when I go to the website.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not really paying a whole lot of attention, and I don't think I'm asking it to do things that require figuring out which model was going to work best for those things.
Mm-hmm.
I think the stuff that I'm asking it to do right now is probably basic enough that whatever model is the one that's open at the time that I open the program is sufficient. I do appreciate that they've gotten rid of that need to figure that out, but it sounds like a lot of people are not happy with that. A lot of people have actually complained about this new model because they made it so that you couldn't go back to any of the previous models if you did the upgrade. And some people actually lost work and lost sort of flow because of the new model. So OpenAI has a little work to do, to little damage control that they're doing right now to make up for the sort of arbitrary switch.
Yeah, I'm not the expert to be asking about this. The answer to the question is no, it's not going to make me at ease or make me feel better about using ChatGPT because I don't really use it all that much. The most, I take that back. I used it today. I had a bunch of numbers that I needed to take the space out from in between the words and put a comma and a space. So ChatGPT helped me take all add a comma and add a space in between each of the words. That's my extent of using AI.
You're an expert now.
A CSV file, basically
is what I needed to do. And it helped out flawlessly. So if ChatGPT 5 is helping me do that, I'm with it. But other than that, you asking the wrong brother on which model is better.
Although I do plan to try. I'm when I kind of get my head in the right space and get some time, I do plan to try some vibe coding. So maybe having GPT-5 where I'm not going to have to figure out how to, which model is the best for that may help. I'll report back.
All right.
Yeah, we definitely want to see what you come up with that. The thing here is that whenever you take choice away from someone, they're going to feel some kind of way. Now, I would imagine that from Sam Altman down, they're feeling like we can probably choose the model that you should use better than you can choose it. So we're just going to go ahead and go with this, but that's still a bad decision. At least at the beginning, give people the option, or at least let them know, hey, we're going to deprecate this, we're going to deprecate that. Don't just turn it off, because they had to, really quickly, this just came out Friday and they've already turned it back to where at least you can go back to using the 4.0 model. And I believe that if you have the $20 a month or higher plan, you'll actually get a drop down to where you can go back and select models. The weird thing is that right now you can only select 4.0. So I think they still need to do a little bit of work on that. But it is, when you take choice away, even if it is the appearance of choice, when you take it away, you have to know people are going to feel some kind of way.
And again, I just want to, just reemphasize, it wasn't just that you didn't have your choice. Some of your work was affected. Some of people's work was affected. So like workflows broke completely. Things brainstorm, long form brain. I'm reading from an Inc. Article. It says the other problem wasn't just the change itself. It was the way OpenAI handled it. The switch to GPT-5 was abrupt. One day you could choose your model and the next day you couldn't. Workflows broke. Writing projects stalled. Niche uses like character development, improv dialogue, and long form brainstorming felt different or didn't work at all. So, y'all changed this and didn't tell me, but now my shit is messed up. You know what I mean?
You
My
messed
stuff
it. You
don't
made it
work.
harder for people to use it.
Like this is if because I have a few projects in chat that are ongoing, and I refer back to them frequently to ask a new question or get some new information for this specific project in particular, or this specific persona. And if all of that work is compromised or goes away for some reason or doesn't give me the same type of result because of this upgrade, that's going to be a problem. That's definitely going to be a problem.
And here's the problem for OpenAI. You have given reason for people to go try something else. They may come back, but it's like, if I got to go do all this stuff over, let me go try Perplexity right fast, see if that works. Let me go try Gemini, see if that I ain't played with Gemini since it first came out. Let's go see if it's better. Can it actually do this? So that is the risk that you run. And that just seems like an error that they did, an unforced error. That's probably the proper term for it. It's an unforced error. They didn't need to make this. You could have still come out with the new one. And if you, hey folks, you need to save, you need to do this. Here's a way how you can export this from point A to point B. If you do all that, you probably aren't in the news today for you had to do this very, very quick turnaround on making at least 4.0 available to folks who were using it because you were disruptive to what they were doing. But yeah, 5 is out. I am going to check it out. I haven't had the chance to play with it, but I'll go play around with it probably sometime this week and see what it does.
I'm gonna check it out too.
Okay.
I'm shaking my head no.
Yeah, no.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at it now. I'm literally in my account right now, and they did arbitrarily upgrade me to 5. I don't like it. Don't be changing my stuff without my permission and consent.
It is different than the other ones because before when the new models came out, you just selected the new model. This one, you're now on the new model. So,
and then there's an option to go. There's an option for legacy models, and 4.0 is the only legacy model that you can switch back to, but you can switch back to that. You can do GPT-5 as their flagship model. GPT-5 thinking is what they're calling a model that is going to get more thorough answers. And then GPT-5 Pro is an upgrade where you'll get research grade intelligence. And this is me looking directly at my chat that's open right now. So if I guess, okay, never mind. I think I asked and answered my own question in my head. That's fine. But yeah, I have been arbitrarily upgraded to GPT-5.
Yeah. Me too.
So Steph, you stuck this story in our rundown about some things that Reddit is doing. It looks like Reddit is going to start blocking the Internet Archive's Wayback Machine and other websites. So tell us what's going on there.
Yeah, I thought this was interesting because they're saying that Reddit is saying that they caught some AI companies scraping the Wayback Machine for data. So they don't want to be a part of the data that gets scraped, basically. So you will no longer be able to index most of the site. You're only going to be able to index the homepage, which will just show you what stories got the most votes and everything. Is just an overview of the day's activity. The interesting part is they're limiting some websites' ability to scrape their data, but they don't have a problem with selling their data to other sites because they've done that already. The data has been for sale to Google's Gemini and some other entities for quite some time. So I guess it's just like we not going to let you get this for free when we're charging other people to own it. Which I mean, I guess kind of makes a little bit of sense from a business perspective. What I was thinking about, and the reason why I posted this story is because, I was wondering if other websites would follow suit specifically for the Internet Archive, i.e. the Wayback Machine, because this is one of the mechanisms that we have available to fact check things. I actually use the example of the Wayback Machine in the presentation I give to students around digital citizenship, Till Death Do You Tweet, because I say, hey, all of your internet activity is archived somewhere. So if you're online acting reckless, somebody can go back and find. There's a possibility that somebody can easily go back and find some of the stuff that you've done and said online.
For example, the Wayback Machine.
For example, using the Wayback Machine. And I throw it up on the screen. I use my own Twitter feed as an example. Click on something from 2015 or whatever and show them that you can see what I was talking about at that given time. So if more websites start doing this, specifically as it relates to the Internet Archive, does that now limit our ability to fact check folks on things that they've done previously on the internet? And will that make us a less truthful, less factual society when we can't go back and say, no, you did say that on this date? I mean, I know there's probably other ways to do that, but the Internet Archive was a very popular, very well-known way, and it sounds like its ability to do that is going to get curtailed a bit by Reddit, and I'm sure there will be other sites to follow.
Yeah, this is just the same thing. Is this a business decision, or is this a more of a societal issue that we're having right now, right? Because to be fair, Reddit's like, nah, man, like Stephanie mentioned, you're trying to scrape the website for free when we have something in place to where people are paying for it, or we presented this to you as an option to pay for it and you said nah, and then try to use whatever methods, i.e. AI, to get around that, right? If I was in business, I would do the same exact thing. But the question is, like Stephanie mentioned, is that going to cause bigger issues? And then now we're right back to the question of, are people making these decisions? Are the people that are being affected by this are included on making these decisions, or are our feelings or are the effects, are we being considered, or is this just business? And then we just get left with whatever happens.
Right.
I think it's both ends. So I think the situation here, Reddit is not anti-Internet Archive or Wayback Machine that is sponsored by Internet Archive. What Reddit is anti is other AI companies or AI companies in general scraping, against the Internet Archive's rules, scraping their data to get to Reddit's data. So they're saying we charge for this, so we have to shut it down. So this is what I hope happens, because the Internet Archive, I didn't even think about what you were talking about, Steph, but it's a library. It is very, very, very useful information.
Absolutely.
To be able to go back and see what websites had on them, websites that don't exist anymore. You can go back and do research. That is a very, very important thing to just humanity. But because it is a library, and because this is I believe that Internet Archive is a not-for-profit.
It is. Yep.
They don't have the resources that a Google can make sure that you cannot scrape their search results. They don't have the resources of of an OpenAI or a Reddit or all these other big companies that can put things in place. So what I hope happens for the Internet Archive is that, definitely internally, but maybe an organization, a company like Cloudflare works with them to help them protect their data. Because if you have a Reddit saying, for Internet Archive purposes, this data can exist there, and we're cool with that. We just don't want the bots going and scraping your data to get to the data that they've got to pay us for. They don't want them doing that end around. So I think that is a figure outable problem. But
go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I would hope that it is a figure outable problem as well. But I do believe that is something that can be figured out with technology and money. I just know the Internet Archive doesn't have that. So I'm hoping that there are going to be companies, Google, this makes sense for Google to help them in this area. This would make sense for Cloudflare to help them in this area, because when they do, they ultimately help themselves. But it makes sense for that to happen. And I think that eventually you will get to a point to where the Internet Archive does not go away. But if I was a company and I'm selling my content, I can't allow an end around to my content. It's like, why, like, just like I said, there potentially, there's a chance that back in the day, somebody with the initials RD created 1 through 84 accounts because they wasn't trying to pay AOL every time that they 2 week or 1 month or whatever the free trial ran out. That is a workaround. I know that these companies that are making money don't want that workaround to happen.
Reddit has said until they're able to defend their site and comply with platform policies, e.g., respecting user privacy, like deleting, remove content, etc., we're limiting some of their access to Reddit data to protect Redditors. So they're trying to sort of frame this as some ethical thing that they're doing to protect their users, but also they have a deal with OpenAI, and they sued Anthropic in June, claiming that Anthropic was still scraping from Reddit after it said it wasn't. So, to your point, Rob, it is a both and, because they do, again, have a deal with Google for both Google search and AI training that they put in place early last year. And a few months after that, started blocking major search engines from crawling its data unless they pay. So they are making money on this. They also claim they're trying to protect Redditors from, having their information unceremoniously scraped from this website. And to your point, hopefully somebody or maybe the public will move to donate, because there is a donate button on the Wayback Machine's homepage, and currently more than 946 billion web pages are stored there. So this is a very valuable and important repository of internet information that needs to be protected, at all costs. Protect them at all costs, as the kids say on social. But so, donate, do what you can to help them beef up. So I don't know if it's a matter of just security that needs to be enhanced to keep these AI crawlers from this site, or if they may actually be making some money, which they probably shouldn't be doing as a nonprofit from whatever AI crawlers are scraping the site. But we definitely don't need the Internet Archive to go away. So.
Yeah. This is a figure outable problem. This can be figured out with money and software. So I would just hope, like I said, the company that comes to mind, because Cloudflare is saying, hey, we're going to just start blocking all AI bots by default on our customers, unless they come to us and say, hey, turn this on. I would like to have this company come and scrape my content. They're just going to start doing that. Cloudflare is a multi-billion-dollar company. They've got the resources to where they could go and say to an Internet Archive, and not just them. I don't want to just put this on Cloudflare, but companies like that could say, here, we're going to help you figure this out, because what you do is such a public good to, and it's so good for humanity that you are keeping this archive of everything that exists on the internet that people are able to, for free, go and search. I would imagine that, similar situation, like I could see Wikimedia, the company behind Wikipedia would actually want to do something like this as well, because if you don't put data there, then that resource kind of goes away. So let's see what happens. This is Reddit is not is definitely the first, maybe, but it will not be the last.
It will not be the last.
I fully expect other companies to get this out until the Internet Archive and Wayback Machine can get that security figured out. So somebody with a check, please step up and help them out.
Right.
So y'all, this is a story that I stuck in here about some things that are going on at Google, because there is a report from the Tech Transparency Project, which highlights Google's significant reduction in support for diversity, equity, and inclusion nonprofit groups during early 2025. Google appears to have removed 58 DEI-related organizations from its list as most substantial contributions, amidst a larger purge of over 200 groups, which included words in their messaging like race, activism, and women. So my question to you guys is this Google just playing the game, or falling in line, or is there even a difference between either of those two things?
I mean, they're playing the game, honestly. I think they see what's happening in this country. They donated their $1 million, the same as all the other tech bros did. Yep. So I think they see what's happening in this country, and they don't want to be on the other end of our current administration's. They don't want to get on our current administration's bad side. So yeah.
They'll get
I
on
mean,
our bad side.
yeah, they don't, because they know that they can, and that they can get away with it. You know what I mean? Like, who's not opening up Google to search for something? So
Right.
it's just like it's not gonna, I don't think any sort of backlash would hurt them enough to get them to reverse any of these policies. I mean, Target just doubled down on what they were doing. So it's just like we've reached I don't know that, but I feel like we've reached a too big to fail kind of situation with some of these companies as far as what our um dollars and complaints and everything else can do. I definitely don't want to be the pessimist that says that, but it's feeling like that.
I'll be the pessimist and say that.
I knew you would, Terrance. I knew
exactly
you would.
what's happening. But so I wanted to ask, well, I guess wanted to repose this back. What is play the game? Is play the game pretend like you're removing DEI, but not really? Or is the game
And just asking people to
yanking?
rephrase their
Yeah, or
mission statements or
right.
whatever.
Are
Is that
they
what you
rephrasing? Are they rephrasing? Are we taking the words out? Are we going to still figure out how we can
No,
give money
absolutely
to this
not.
organization?
No, because before this whole DEI thing, Google was tripping as far as diversity, equity, and inclusion. We've talked about some of these ladies who were working high up in Google, and they was just getting fired, and they were getting let go because they had the bravery to speak up on Google's lack of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And then Trump comes, well, let me not say, this administration comes along, and Google was already trying, in my opinion, allegedly already trying to figure out how to limit diversity, equity, inclusion. So this is just for them. This is just the green light to even deepen their efforts to not have to worry about it. Again, you know, it's right to worry about it, but like I said, business, business, business. The more they got to worry about it, the more they look at their spreadsheet line items and say, DEI, nah, we already done with that. So I don't even think they playing a game. They just use this as jet fuel to do what they was already going to do.
Yeah, it's sad to say it, but we are at a point where you know, in our federal government and in many of our state and local governments, if it ain't white, it ain't right. That's simply what it is. You cannot be pro anything other than white in the government. They're cool with that in many cases, as long as you're from here. If you're not from here, they ain't cool with it either. And that is just what it is. So that's why I posed it like that. Is this Google? We really wasn't really trying to be down with this anyway. Thank you for giving us the out to to say, hey, we tried to do this. These are the companies we gave money to last year. And we're just not going to do it this year because we can't do this because the federal government won't work with us, and we have to be able to work with the federal government. Even with the Google, I would say that it's probably they're probably on both sides of the fences on this, because I do think that, Google's, they were doing some things from a DEI standpoint. They were doing some things that weren't even DEI. It was just like, we're going to donate money to this organization. That organization just might be ran by Latino women. It's like, and they're doing things in the Latin community, but it's anyone who lives in the community. It just happens to be a Latin community, community that is primary Latin, citizens living there, and the government saying, no, you can't do that. If it ain't white, it ain't right. So we don't want those words. I mean, you can't say climate change in the federal government. You can't say it's hotter today than it was 10 years ago today on average. So this is just nuts to me. It's not nuts. I understand it. I understand exactly what is happening. I understand why they're doing it. Racism is a heck of a thing, but we literally have a government right now that is telling us that we cannot say any of these words, and they're not allowing any of the companies that are going to do business with the government to say any of these words. And to your point, Terrance, some of these companies, that's how they was wired anyway. They was doing the DEI thing out of, well, if we don't do it, we're going to look bad. As compared to we are ultimately doing it to try to make things
the right thing to do.
Right. I think the companies that were already doing things because it was the right thing to do, like a Costco, for example, and I'm not trying to stand for Costco, but Costco's like, nah, we were already doing this stuff. We're not going to stop doing this stuff. This is what we do. This is our culture. Doesn't matter who's in the White House. Now, even a Costco has to maybe change. It's like, okay, wait a minute. These words, we still need the government to do some stuff with, with and for. So maybe we need to change these words. So when I say playing the game, sometimes it may be we can't
semantics
this way because these words are here. So let's remove those words and then let's come up with a new contract next year. So I do believe we've heard of companies that are doing this.
Absolutely.
And there's way more that you don't hear of because
but
they were already doing it. It's just what they do. It's like, hey, we're just working with this company. It wasn't because of DEI. It's just a company we decided we wanted to work with.
But the question was, is Google doing it?
No.
Yeah. Okay. No, they're not. And I want to highlight something else real quick. And I'm glad we talked about the Wayback Machine before we got to this story, because there's a couple sentences in the article you posted, Rob. According to it, well, the section headline is a quiet adjustment, and it says, according to archived web pages, Google made an update to its list of funded organizations sometime between January 11th and April 9th, 2025. A Google transparency page indicates that the update occurred in February 2025. The company removed a total of 214 groups while adding 101. Now, this is the type of information that you would be able to go to the Wayback Machine to see.
Absolutely.
And it'd be like, hold up, because if Google tries to gaslight us into thinking that we were never supporting them anyway, or we never had made any donations to this particular company anyway, this is the type of information that you would be able to go to the Wayback Machine and go to Google's former blog posts or whatever to make sure and hold them to what they're claiming. So one more reason, it's so funny. I had already posted that story about the Wayback Machine before I read this article and researched for tonight. And I was like, this is going to be perfect because it just, again, makes the case for why that site is so important and needs to be supported. And the potential for, like I said, the gaslighting that might happen and just the outright lying and the fact checking that we won't get to do if websites start, refusing to allow the Wayback Machine to scrape, to use their sites or to access their sites. So,
it ain't just a race thing. People hear us talking about it and say, oh, here they go. Right. But it ain't even the racist stuff. Like, for instance, I'm reading this thing. Google told CNBC it gave 75,000, a measly 75,000 to the national network to end domestic violence in 2024, but did not say why it was removed from the funding list. It's like Google can't even say we gave money to end domestic violence.
Well, here's the thing.
What kind of spine?
What do y'all stand for?
Right. Like, what does domestic violence affect most?
I know, but I'm just saying though. Yeah.
But it's like
gotta have sisters.
Women. The word women is one of the no words. The federal government says we don't want you doing stuff for women. We don't want you doing stuff if they have race in their,
Our Secretary of Defense just retweeted somebody that said women shouldn't have the right to vote. So, this is where we're at currently in this country. Yeah, and we've reached full on Handmaid's Tale at this point.
And I ain't directing it at the government. I'm directing it at these companies that are compliant. That's me. You ain't gonna be, we just doing what we're told. Nah.
No. Yeah, you could stand up. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So I'm gonna hold your feet to the fire.
Absolutely.
So y'all, this last one, Steph, you stuck this in here. I actually talked about this on 2 other shows earlier today. I'm just gonna say this: is this technically a kickback or no? That's what you wrote. I was like, so the federal government is getting VIGs now? That's what I wrote. Tell folks what is going on with the United States of America and AMD and NVIDIA.
It's crazy talk. So NVIDIA and AMD have agreed to share 15% of their revenues from chip sales to China with the U.S. government as part of a deal to secure export licenses for the semiconductors. The Trump administration halted the sale of advanced computer chips to China in April over quote unquote national security concerns, but NVIDIA and AMD revealed in July that Washington would allow them to resume resume sales of the H20 and MI308 chips, which are used in artificial intelligence development. President Trump confirmed the terms of the unusual arrangement in a Monday press conference, while noting that he originally wanted 20% of the sales revenue when NVIDIA asked to sell the quote-unquote obsolete H20 chip to China. The president credited NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang for negotiating him down to 15%. So yeah, they are basically shaking
America's
down
for sale.
to America's for sale, and they're shaking companies down in order to, like, this is straight mob stuff. You know what I mean?
This is what bookies do. That's why I call it a VIG.
Literally
Protection
shaking
money.
folk down. Literally shaking folk down.
So we actually have it in the Constitution that, you know, the federal government is not allowed to charge a tax for stuff that we ship to foreign states.
Mm-hmm.
That's in the Constitution. But the way that they're doing is the way that they're wording is like, we're not charging you to ship it. You can ship wherever you want to ship it. That ain't got nothing to do with us. If you make it, we just want 15%. And the Supreme Court says that might actually be legal. We might have to go and look at that. So I'm sitting here and it's like,
pay to play.
Do we got dudes named Paulie that are wearing tight track suits with baseball bats going to NVIDIA probably. And AMD talking about, so yeah.
No, they got somebody named Red who held somebody's ankles over and held them off the balcony.
What are office hours?
Yes.
Our office hours are when?
9 to 5. Yo,
I was like,
this is straight gangster level extortion and pay to play that they're doing right now. This is insane. I mean, this is absolutely insane. And it's just, I don't even really have the words to describe how ridiculously corrupt and awful this is, because to your point, Rob, it is unconstitutional. One of our representatives in the House Select Committee on China said there's no precedent for this, probably because export taxes are unconstitutional. Well, this is Derek Scissors, a senior fellow and China expert at a conservative American Enterprise Institute. They call it a fee, but 15% of sales revenue is about as standard a tax as it comes. For this reason, they don't think the arrangement is durable, but clearly we've seen
what else is durable.
Right. We've seen time and time again, this administration does whatever the F they want
and figure out the rest later.
And nobody seems to be able to stop them. So yeah.
So here's the thing. Here's how they might be able to get away with this legally, because they're saying, well, this is not a tax. Anyone who buys these H20 chips, I can't think of what the names of the ones are from AMD, but you know, at least the ones that are coming from NVIDIA, these H20 chips, they are made specifically to a spec that only is sold in China. So yeah, you can say, well, we're not taxing export, but you literally are taxing something that is only sold in some place that is not here. And what they can get away with, well, if anybody in the United States wanted to, let's say, buy an H20, no one would. Why would you buy an H20 when you can get the higher end chips because you are in the United States for the same money or roughly the same money? Why would you buy the chip that was made for an adversary that we don't let do what chips that are sold here can do? So it's like they're using loopholes and workaround. It's like, this is what our federal government is doing right now. They literally are getting shakedown money, because here's the other part of this. They made the H20 to sell specifically to China. We shut that down too. It's like, nope, we don't even want those going.
Right.
So now we're going to let those chips, continue to be shipped again, but we want 15%. Not for the shipping, but because you're making them, we want 15%. And if we get that 15%, we'll allow you to ship them ship them over there again.
So let me ask you, because I also posted a video, CNN video in there where Kevin O'Leary was talking, and he made the argument that it was important for the United States to control the hardware portion of the tech stack in AI development around the world. So you can let the other countries do whatever sort of software tap dance they want to do on top of this chip, but we control the means to production of all of these different AI tools, because we control the foundational hardware that all of it gets built on. So that was kind of his rationalization for why he was seemingly okay, because he called it blackmail himself in the segment, but he felt like he was okay with it. He was like, tomato, blackmail, whatever, but we control the tech stack. I'm like, is that enough of a reason to let our government strong arm folks.
I will concede the point. Let's say that Mr. Wonderful is right. Broke clock is right twice a day. Let's say he's right.
Real quick, Rob.
Let me just go this one point out. But what does that got to do with 15%? You can control it. We were doing that by creating an H20 that only China can get. That is basically a lesser chip than we allow to be sold literally everywhere else. So what does the 15% got to do with it? That's the question I'm asking. It's like, even if I can see the point and say you are right, because it is the twice a day, you're right. What does the 15% got to do with that?
So real quick, just because a broken clock is right twice a day, that means you need to get a new watch. That don't mean it's right. That means get a new watch.
Right. True. Yeah. And then where's this money going? No one said anything about that. Like, I want to know, where's this money going? What is it going to be used for? What has it been earmarked for?
Now you're just asking too many questions
now, because this is crazy.
This is what this dude is doing. He is literally running the federal government like it is a for-profit business. And let's just say that that's what you want. Why would you go to the person that has failed literally in every business that he has run? What he has been successful in is being a grifter and a scammer and not paying people and all these things that are documented. This dude loses court cases left and right because of how poorly he does business. Why are we following these ideas? So it's like,
and to your point, Terrance, about holding these companies accountable and them needing to stand up. Why would you allow this precedent to get set? Because guess what's going to happen? All of these companies are going to have to pay basically an export tax in order to do business overseas. So, is this really the type of country and the type of capitalism? I don't even know if you can call this capitalism. Like, how are y'all cool with this? Like, what are these CEOs doing at this point? Because at the end of the day, this is not. It might get you some immediate shareholder value and all the rest of that, but I don't think y'all playing chess with this. You know what I mean? And I don't think that long game is going to turn out the way y'all think it is.
Yeah,
and it's going to be a problem.
I don't think it's been a long game. I think it's been every quarter, every sales, what they call it, earnings report, every particular instance to where they need to just show that they've either made more money, made stupid amounts of more money than they said they was going to make, or they made a little bit less, but way more profit, right? I think those are the decisions that they're making. These companies are not making, what's best for the consumer, what's best for the end user, what's best for the infrastructure,
what's best in the long term,
not what's best in the long term, what's best for this quarter for our sales numbers. That is about the extent of the decisions that they make. And if it's going to help those sales numbers or reduce those sales numbers, that's the decision based on those two requirements. It's going to make it better for our sales numbers or our revenue or our stock price, or it's going to make it worse. If they make it worse, we ain't doing it. If it makes it better, we're going to do it. It just so happens that they've been able to do this in the shadows, but Trump is making them come out front and put their money where their mouth is up front and letting us say, word, that's what y'all doing.
In the case of, at least in the case of NVIDIA, this is one where I think we just got to play this game. Jensen Huang is saying we need to sell a lot of processors to China. We ain't selling jack right now. So what do I got to do to sell something? Okay, he's saying 20%. Let me run over to the White House right fast. What about 15%? Can we bring this down?
He probably did 10 and they met at 15.
Master negotiation, I guess. But they're trying. We continue to need to be in business. So this is what we're going to do. Your boy was the CEO of Apple. He just did it. It's like, maybe
he sure did. He sure did. I was like, damn,
Tim. A gold plaque. I should have gotten the gold
plaque. God damn.
I might have been able to get it 12.5% if I would have gotten the gold plaque. But it's like
the knee, I was so disappointed to see that picture, man.
But it's like, what do you do if you're the CEO of Apple and you're being told we're going to put 100% tax on iPhones unless you bring me a gold plaque to the plate, a gold plated plaque to the White House.
If companies did what Stephanie says they do, Apple would have been out of China 5 years ago. but they was making too much money in China.
Mhm.
And they said, this is where we are. Now they put all the eggs in one basket. Now here come Trump messing with them. Now they trying to scramble. They could have been in India. They could have been someplace
Right.
else. But
Right.
again, what's going on this quarter? What do we got to say? What do we got to do to make the numbers look right this quarter or this earnings report? Whatever we got to say, we'll worry about next year's or next quarter's next quarter. We're going to do this now. And if that means showing up at the White House and giving dude a gold plaque, if that's what's going to make it look good this week, it is what it is.
Yeah. Bending of the knee is basically what you're seeing these companies do. And the funny part of it is that the companies that was rolling with him, he's making them bend just as much as the ones that wasn't. Apple wasn't really down with what was happening. They had to come around to it. But the other companies that was, I mean, look what's happening with Tesla right now. Look what's happening with anything that has Elon Musk's name on it. It's like that was his boy. It is like this is what he did to him. So what you think is going to happen? I think that's part of what's happening. It's like this is what he did to his boy. What do you think that he will do to us? And they're saying it's like, we hate to say this, but Trump is the most powerful person on the planet right now. He is the president of the United States, whether we want him to be there or not. So I think some of these companies like we're going to just have to do what we got to do, and hopefully America comes to its senses if we actually ever have an election again. If we don't, this is how we do business going forward.
I'll put it like this. In the words of Game of Thrones, the North remembers. Hopefully these people remember when these next election cycles roll around and the scene looks a little bit different. It'll be definitely interesting to see what these companies are saying and doing then. But I guess we just got to wait and see.
Yeah, you know what? And the companies probably will remember but that's not the problem because the companies don't vote. It's the people that ain't gonna remember. It's like that's the problem right now. It's like you remember what this dude was doing a presidency ago, before Biden got in. It's like, and we just forgive all that. The dude literally led an insurrection. Hope we cool with that. But y'all, that's the end of our show. We're going to go ahead and get ready to get out of here. But before we do, as I said at the top of the show, when we get to the end of the show, we shout out any new patrons that we got. So we have a brand new patron this week, and their name is Cinnamon. It's got a unique spelling. It is CNM, but the name is Cinnamon. So Cinnamon, you get your flowers. Thank you for becoming a patron of the Tech John and holding us down financially. For anyone else who would like to support the show, since we're talking about Patreon and we talked about our patrons at the top of the show, like Saray is right here in the live stream rocking with us. She's one of the ones that we mentioned. You can head over to thetechjohn.com/Patreon and you will find one of many tiers over there. Any one of those tiers gets you access to our live stream and our after party. A couple of those tiers over there actually get you an ad-free stream for those of you that are listening in your podcatcher. So if you are interested in helping us bring the tech to you the way that we bring it to you, please become a patron and support the show. Once again, head over to thetechjohn.com/Patreon. That's the tech JAWN/Patreon. So that being said, Tech Life Steph, tell folks how they can get at you.
You can follow me all around the web at Tech Life Steph, or head to my website at stephaniehumphrey.com and sign up for my newsletter.
And you can find me all over the internet at Brother Tech. That's BROTHATECH.
And I am at Robb Dunewood on all the things. And we're also at the Tech John, the Tech JAWN on all things. So come holler at us however you holler until we meet again in a week's time.
Peace.
Peace.